Now let's move on and look at a few best practices around managing customer master keys, or CMKs. Key policies are the fundamental method to control access to keys. Use key policies to explicitly restrict the following where possible: allowing certain IAM roles to manage keys, enforce the presence of MFA for management actions such as changing the key policy or deleting keys, allow certain IAM roles or users to use the keys for cryptographic operations such as decryption or encryption, restrict specific AWS services to be allowed to use the key. For example, we can restrict a key to be only used for decrypting S3 objects by an application. However, that application will not be able to perform decryption actions on DynamoDB. When a key is created, the default key policy will allow the following: the ability to allow IAM policies outside of KMS to provide permissions to manage or use the key, the ability for selected IAM principals to manage a key, the ability for select IAM principals to use the key for cryptographic operations, and the ability for certain IAM principals to grant permissions to AWS services to use the key. In most cases, the default key policy is sufficient with slight modifications depending on the need for other IAM users or accounts to be able to make use of the keys. When using IAM policies to allow access to KMS keys, continue to apply the principle of least privilege. Policies should only grant users, roles, and applications access to only the keys that they require. Audit and monitor calls to KMS and events related to customer master keys. Using monitoring services such as CloudTrail and CloudWatch, you can be aware of events generated by the KMS service related to management and usage. Examples of this would be being notified of keys scheduled for deletion or auditing key usage. Enforce encryption of resources where applicable. Using IAM policies, ensure that policies assigned to users and roles only allow the creation of a resource if it is set to use encryption. Resource policies, such as on S3 buckets, can be set up with bucket policies, only allowing write of objects with server-side encryption enabled. Also, enforce real-time monitoring. Use Lambda functions or AWS config to immediately identify resources that have been created without these mandated encryption settings. Key management is critical to ensuring the security of your data. AWS provides capabilities within the KMS service to help architects and developers ensure that keys are managed securely in accordance to an organization's compliance requirements. We have illustrated some of these high-level capabilities and will round it up next with a walkthrough of key management in action.